Have you ever woken up and realized joy doesn't feel like joy anymore? You're not sad, but you're not full either. You laugh, but something in you knows it's not real. You smile, but it feels thin. That empty feeling isn't random. It's a signal that something deeper is shifting inside your spirit. And today, we're going to figure out exactly what's happening. Joy doesn't normally disappear all at once. It doesn't vanish suddenly. It leaks slowly, quietly, silently. It starts small. The music that used to move you now feels like background noise. The things that once stirred your soul barely touch you. Your heart feels tired, but you can't explain why. And the scary part? Most people don't notice anything is wrong because numbness doesn't shout, it whispers. Even David, the ancient king who once danced with unashamed passion, eventually said these words, "Restore to me the joy of my salvation." He didn't ask for more blessings. He didn't ask for miracles. He asked for joy because he knew something most people overlook. Joy is the first thing to fade when your heart drifts from what matters. This is how spiritual emptiness works. Your life might look stable, even blessed. Yet your spirit feels hollow because joy drains long before your life ever shows cracks. 3 reasons your joy is quietly fading. 1. Your spirit is full, but not with what matters. Joy isn't just emotional, joy is spiritual. And when your spirit is filled with distraction, noise, entertainment, and constant stimulation, joy gets suffocated. You're scrolling, you're consuming, you're reacting, but you're not resting, you're not reconnecting, you're not refilling. Ancient wisdom says, the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. What you take in either fuels joy or drains it. You don't lose joy because your life is empty. You lose joy because your spirit is full of things that cannot produce joy. 2. You've been fighting battles without spiritual strength. Life feels heavier than it should. Not because everything is going wrong, but because you're running on spiritual fumes. Ancient scripture says, "The joy of the Lord is your strength." So when joy fades, strength fades. And when strength fades, even simple things feel overwhelming. That's why nothing excites you anymore. Why everything feels like effort. Why your spirit feels tired even when your body is rested. You're trying to carry life in your own power, but joy can only be sustained when you're connected to something greater than yourself. 3. Life is trying to get your attention. Sometimes joy leaves not because life is broken, but because your heart is drifting. The universe doesn't yell first, it whispers. And one of the loudest whispers is the absence of joy. Sometimes the emptiness you feel isn't punishment, it's invitation. It's life saying, "Come back, you're drifting farther than you realize." How to restore joy? The good news? Joy never fades without providing a pathway back. Joy isn't something you chase. Joy is something you restore. 1. Joy returns when you return to honesty. Joy cannot survive in a heart that hides. The more you bury, avoid, or suppress, the more joy slowly slips through your fingers. David understood this. In ancient Psalms, he describes what happened when he kept everything inside. "When I kept silent, my bones wasted away. My strength was sapped as in the heat of summer." He wasn't losing joy because life was hard. He was losing joy because his heart was closed. When you're pretending to be okay. When you're acting strong because you don't want others to worry. When you're smiling while your soul is carrying unspoken battles, your spirit silently begins to starve. Joy demands space. Joy requires openness. Joy needs honesty. The moment David stopped hiding, everything shifted. Joy rushed back in because his heart finally had room for it. Honesty does not make you weak. Honesty makes you free. It breaks the dam. It opens the door. It lets healing happen where silence has been suffocating. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is simply say, "I'm not okay, and I don't want to pretend anymore." 2. Joy returns when you return to presence. Your heart was created to function in meaningful presence the way lungs were created to function in oxygen. Anything outside of that atmosphere feels suffocating. You can distract yourself, stay busy, stay surrounded by people. But your spirit knows the difference between noise and presence. Ancient wisdom says, "In your presence is fullness of joy." Not halfway joy, not temporary joy. Fullness, overflowing, stabilizing, healing joy. When you drift from meaningful presence, you can survive for a while, but you cannot thrive. Your joy will thin out. Your strength will weaken. Your peace will feel fragile. Because joy is not a feeling. Joy is a byproduct of connection. Think about the moments when life felt most meaningful. The peace you had, the clarity you had, the stability you had. That wasn't coincidence. That was presence. And presence is always accessible. It's not found in a perfect environment. It's found in a simple posture. If your joy has been fading, it could be because your spirit has been living without the atmosphere it was designed for. Return to presence, and joy will return with you. 3. Joy returns when you realign with purpose. Joy fades when life feels meaningless, but joy returns the moment you remember you were created for something eternal. Ancient scripture says, "He gives the oil of joy for mourning and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of heaviness." Life doesn't just heal you. It reassigns you. It realigns your heart with what truly matters. Purpose reignites joy. Think about the times in your life when you felt most alive. I guarantee those weren't the times you had the most money or comfort. They were the times you felt most purposeful, most connected, most aligned with something bigger than yourself. Human beings are wired for meaning. We don't thrive on pleasure. We thrive on purpose. And when purpose fades, joy fades with it. So ask yourself, what have you been living for lately? What gets you out of bed? What drives you forward? If you can't answer that clearly, that's why joy feels distant. Because a heart without purpose is a heart slowly dying of thirst, even when surrounded by water. The real question: if joy is missing in your life right now, what part of your heart have you stopped giving attention to? Joy doesn't drain without a reason, and it doesn't return without a response. Your spirit knows the answer. You just have to be honest enough to listen. David didn't get his joy back by pretending everything was fine. He got it back by saying, "Restore to me what I've lost." That's not weakness. That's wisdom. If this message resonated with you, if you recognize that empty feeling we've been talking about, drop a comment that says, "Restore my joy." You were made for fullness, for depth, for joy that doesn't depend on circumstances but flows from connection to what's eternal. Stop pretending, start returning, and watch what happens when you give your heart permission to feel again. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay honest, stay present, and remember, the joy you're missing is closer than you think.